What's happening, everybody? Wrestling warm-up right here on WrestlingRumors.net. Following a pay-per-view, it is Monday, June 30th, last day in June. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to run through. Just to start it off, let's go ahead and talk about this. Triple H, no more than 35 minutes ago, tweeted out that a former WWE champion is returning to Raw tonight. Who do we think it is? Go ahead and just give me some examples. Who do you think is coming back tonight? I just say that it's like somebody stupid like The Miz, but what do you think?
The Miz.
The Miz.
I'll go on.
Yeah.
I'll say that too.
I can't believe Triple H would actually give relevance to him by tweeting it, but yeah, sure, why not?
It's probably
Great
Flair,
Khali.
though.
Great Khali?
Yeah, sure, why not?
He wasn't WWE champion. He was world champion, right?
Whatever, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it was.
What's the deal with that guy from Chicago?
No. This is Phil. I don't even know who you're talking about. The guy that knocked up that other chick? He used to be on the show?
Scottie Pippen.
Someone used to dig
Yes.
crazy chicks.
Scottie Pippen. That's exactly what it is.
Whatever. When it turns out to be Scottie Pippen, you'll all look silly, so.
I'm surprised. Yeah, because he doesn't say WWE. Or, yeah, he does. He does say WWE. I was gonna say, it just says former champion. But, no, it says WWE champion makes a return tonight. It could be The Miz. It could be Brock Lesnar coming out to start building towards Cena at SummerSlam, even though we have a pay-per-view in the middle of that. I don't think they would waste one of Lesnar's dates on tonight, but maybe they do. And because WWE told you in an email last week that it's going to be Lesnar versus Cena, so I don't know why everyone is surprised that Cena took the title last night. But Lesnar could be it. Could be Jericho, who's been all around the northeastern hemisphere in the arena of where all these shows have been taking place the last few weeks. He's also talked about, there's been reports of him returning sometime soon. Could be Jericho, could be Miz, who's been ready to return since May when the shooting of the Marine 4 completed, and he's had nothing to come back with. This is we're past Money in the Bank, we're past this pay-per-view, we're heading towards Battleground, so it could be Miz. More than likely, it will be Miz, who I don't even count as a WWE champion because he was just that awful, but. Could be him, could be Lesnar, could be Jericho. Those are three good guesses. If we had to guess anybody else, I don't.
Flair.
Yeah, I mean maybe Flair. Flair's supposed to be appearing on TV from henceforth. He's supposed to be having some kind of TV role. He's going to be at the WWE events in July, the house shows, at least the big Madison Square Garden house show in the corner of. Bray Wyatt and John Cena, that their matches is going to you're going to have Triple H and Ric Flair and John Cena and Bray Wyatt. All these it's stuff that doesn't make any kind of sense, but it's going to happen. It's going to be at Madison Square Garden in July, and so it could be Flair. I honestly, when it says this, keep this momentum going, as the tweet says, coming off of Money in the Bank, let's keep the momentum going. A WWE champion returns tonight on Raw. Flair is a good guess for me. Flair and Miz make the most sense, and of course they have been rumored to be together. They're wanting to put Ric Flair with The Miz, which to me is such a waste of Ric Flair. It's nice seeing Ric Flair with his daughter on NXT. I wouldn't mind seeing that on the main roster when Charlotte makes her arrive up onto the big show, but we don't know when that's going to be, and they want to use Flair. So anyway, that's the initial thing. There's somebody coming back tonight. We don't know who yet. We have some good ideas, and it should be one of these guys. Patrick P. Joe's on here saying Flair or Hogan or Vince.
Vince was a champion.
I mean, well, Vince was a champion, but at the same time, I just don't know if it's going to be Vince McMahon, especially when.
Wasn't it reported on Wrestling Rumors, though, that Vince is not going to be in his character going forward?
That's a rumor. Yeah, I mean, that's a rumor. That's a good rumor. But the funny thing was that rumor was based on the fact for the last 6 weeks, Stephanie McMahon has been called the principal owner of WWE and not one of the principal owners. But last night on Money in the Bank, she was actually labeled one of the principal owners instead of the principal owner. So I think that was Brian Alvarez of F4W Online that was saying that he had heard and that that's one of the reasons that they had cut out saying one of the principal owners was because they weren't going to use Vince anymore. And then again, last night we heard one of the principal owners. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there. We know that John Cena was not who the Authority wanted to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank, but that's exactly who we got. Walter, you put up an awesome opinionated piece today on WrestlingRumors.net about this issue. Tell us what you think is going to happen tonight between the Authority and John Cena.
Oh, well, with the way Money in the Bank ended last night, I mean, you can clearly tell Triple H and Stephanie McMahon are not fans of Cena winning this match. They obviously had their hopes on the shoulders of both Randy Orton and Kane. That failed. I don't know what exactly they're going to do on Monday Night Raw tonight. They could go the route of what they did with Daniel Bryan and just do everything in their power to try and take the belt off of him. Maybe they even force him into a title match tonight. Who knows? But hopefully we see the groundwork laid for a Lesnar feud. Like we said, Lesnar could be the guy we see tonight. That still remains to be seen. I'm interested to see what they book for Battleground, to be honest. There's a lot of guys you could throw into a title match with Cena. You could maybe put Bray Wyatt, do another Wyatt-Cena match, possibly Orton again. Right now it's a toss-up. I really don't know for sure.
What do you think we're going to get out of the Authority and Cena tonight, Patrick?
I think that, Walter hit it on the head. I think that they could play this similar to what they were doing late last year with Daniel Bryan and just forcing him into title matches, trying to get the title off of him. Maybe Lesnar comes out tonight, but like you said, Doug, why would they waste a date on, Monday Night Raw tonight, one of his dates? Maybe they try and get like Rollins and Kane into like maybe a 2-on-1 handicap match for the title, or even Orton. Maybe they try and just like book him in like a 3-on-1 handicap match at Battleground or something, because Battleground's only 3 weeks away. You gotta set up the main event either tonight or next week at the latest.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where Battleground is looming. It's, I think, 3 weeks away.
Yeah, Cole said 3 weeks away last night.
So the 3 weeks away, that means it's actually, less than 3 weeks away. So, it's one of those things where you're going to have a short amount of time to build on television, so it's got to be people that have been in the hunt. It's got to be people that were right there. So you got to look at Orton, you got to look at Kane, and you got to look at Cena, and you probably throw them in some sort of a, triple threat match if you do that. But at the same time, you've got Orton and Reigns that you've been teasing too. Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. That could easily be a Battleground match, and it could just wind up being Kane versus John Cena at Battleground. And that's because, Kane has been the Authority's lackey. He's their call boy. He's the one that was used by the Authority to help Seth Rollins gain the Money in the Bank briefcase last night. So if I had to say anybody, it's going to be John Cena versus Kane, at least at Battleground, and then move forward from there. And that's probably what we're going to see out of that tonight. Now let's talk about Seth Rollins winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. We were about 70-30 in our predictions about who was going to win the briefcase. Almost all of us said Seth Rollins. Some people said Dean Ambrose. And I got to say, no matter, and I said this on the podcast today, no matter who wins the briefcase, dude, some of these guys came out looking like $1 million. Dean Ambrose is now a main event player for the rest of his career. That superplex spot off the ladder was re-effindiculous on both men, on Rollins and Ambrose. Kudos. That's one of those things that will be remembered for, Money in the Bank history.
Here's your Slammy for OMG moment of the year.
I mean, dude, how high it folded Ambrose up, the impact from that thing. So that was brilliant. That was awesome. The one thing I don't like about Ambrose's character, because I love everything else about him, I hate that his name is the Lunatic Fringe. That's the stupidest thing. Just call him the Lunatic or something. Why does Fringe have to be involved? I don't get it.
Haters gonna hate.
I don't get it. But I do love the guy. I think that he has potential to be an incredible champion at some point in his career. He's one of the best on the microphone. I love the fact that, honestly, even though the script that was leaked for the pre-show last night. Somebody found a script in their freaking seat at ringside for the kickoff show, and I was sitting there reading the script as the show was going, and you literally see it hitting mark by mark by mark, and that was pretty awesome to be able to do that. At the same time, they moved Ambrose's little promo spot to the actual show, and Ambrose, even though he hit on the specific things that he wanted to say about Rollins, the guy improvs as well, and I'm really impressed, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Like, the new blood coming up from NXT, it's not like, they do memorize their lines really well, but at the same time, they're really good at improv too. It looks like we're finally getting some guys that can be on the microphone and be comfortable. The only person that I'm not truly confident in on their mic skills yet is the guy that everyone thinks is going to be the next big thing, and that's Roman Reigns. He struggled really bad on main event this past week, and on Raw he wasn't that great either. But I think he can progress. But I want to know what your thoughts are on these new blood guys, the Bray Wyatts, the Bo Dallases who have been great at improvising, the Seth Rollins who's coming to his own, and the Dean Ambrose who just blows. Ambrose and Wyatt blow everybody else out of the water so far. So I'm extremely excited about these guys. What's your guys' opinions on these? Like, this is, to me, a great thing.
It is. You're absolutely right. I think, go ahead, Ed.
I was going to say, I mean, I think, Doug, you're mentioning cream of the crop sort of things here, but I think that there's some improvements that can be made to a lot of talent that has come up. I'm not going to say they came up prematurely. I think they were ready, but I look at a guy like Adam Rose. His promos really don't come off as anything verbally. That and Big E. I mean, I think Big E does great heel work, but him as a face, it comes off so canned. And yeah, we make the jokes about him sounding like the preacher man, but I think that he just sees a character and he sees the patriot and he sees the patriotic man and goes, I gotta sound a lot more boisterous, I gotta sound a lot more loud, but then he's gotta remember these lines, and it just comes off way too canned for me.
No, see, I mean, I'm not talking about. I guess I'm just not really talking about your mid-carders because one of the things is they're just not even looked at.
Wait, when you were talking about the NXT, I wanted to bring full, to a more full picture about where we're sitting.
I was trying to talk about these big guys that have come up and are now in the main event picture from NXT because they have the total package. The other guys, yeah, you're right. I mean, Adam Rose is really limited to what he says because it has to be about the party scene. It has to be about not being a lemon. Bo Dallas is straight out the chute, and he's having to improv on the fly, especially like when he dropped his mic last Monday night and he threw out the whole Butterfingers line. Like, that wasn't scripted. That there was no way there was anything like that was scripted. I thought that was perfect, and I thought it was incredible. Who else do you see that's rising that has this kind of potential on the microphone? Because I really think that's what sets Dean Ambrose apart, as far as already making him a main event player, even though the Shield just split, and outside of triple 6-man tag main events with Evolution, they were really a United States champion and a tag team. So now you have these three guys that for a year were United States champion and mid-card guy and these mid-card tag team champions who got elevated in 6-man tags every single week on Raw, every single week on pay-per-view, became a main event faction, and then they're all split. And now not one of them, I don't view any one of them as less than the other, which I think is a very good testament to how they built these guys. So coming up, looking at these mid-carders, like you're talking about, like looking at these new guys that have come up, or looking at any mid-carder as far as mic work and skill work, who do we see that could actually fill in the gaps main event-wise? Because I really think that we're going to need more main eventers going forward, and we're doing well at building some at this point in time. But who do you think is the next in line to fill those main event gaps? Anyone can answer if you have an American thought in your head.
Who isn't up already, or is still up?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind. Are you?
Who cares? Like, just answer the freaking question. Who are you high on? Who do you think could possibly come up and be the next big thing?
I'm high on Zayn right now. I mean, I can't wait to see what. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with him. He's a great presence in NXT. So I mean, I think he's due for the next round of call-ups. The Ascension, I'm worried that they're going to blow it with them, just considering the large talents they have right now. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if they can be able to handle the Ascension right. But yeah, if I'm looking at the next round of call-ups, I'm looking at Sami Zayn.
Well, the problem with Sami Zayn right now is that, you know, his mic work isn't the strongest. I think when he does make it to the main roster, they're going to really play up his underdog gimmick. The one person I'm looking at, especially in NXT, that could be the next big thing, especially with his mic work, is Tyler Breeze.
Yes.
He's not necessarily the biggest guy. He's not the biggest dog in the fight, so he's going to have to basically use his mic skills to help himself get over, and it's not going to be difficult because his gimmick will allow him to do that. You know, the prima donna, you know, full of himself kind of guy, holding the cell phone out all the time, thinks he's beautiful, pretty, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I can't. And he's, you know, he trained under Lance Storm, so he can go in the ring as well. But the fact that he's as small as he is, he's definitely going to need to embrace being a mic tactician, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, I completely agree. One, I know he's not, but I think we're like the next set of call-ups that we're looking at, who I think might make a vast improvement over his initial run, is I think Tyson Kidd, I think, has gotten a lot more confident in his recent work that he has done down there. And I think when he comes back, he's never, I don't think he'll ever actually be a main event guy, but he was a lower card status person, tag team person, the last run up here, and I think we'll see him probably break into that Intercontinental Championship range of people, which is really a major jump for him, and I think that's thanks to all that his improvement in speaking. I think he can tell a story a lot better now.
I'm not going to argue that Tyson Kidd isn't better, because he is better. I just don't think that WWE brass really sees anything in Tyson Kidd, which is the issue. And I think that's been the issue with guys like Tyson Kidd.
Kidd's peaked.
For a while. Kidd has peaked, and he's not going to get any better than what he was. And
that's why he's in NXT right now, because he's helping the guys that they really want to push, like Sami Zayn, like Adrian Neville. Those are Triple H's boys, and when they make it to the main roster, if Kidd joins them, they're going to be ahead of him on the totem.
I agree completely, Walter. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. John Alba, who can't join us on Monday nights anymore because he has a real job. John Alba but he gets paid to be on Twitter working for the MLB Network. He's on Twitter right now. He knows that we have a show going on, and he wants to offer in, of course, a couple of 2 cents. He says that he's booking Cesaro as Cena's next opponent at Battleground. It sets up for Lesnar Cena at SummerSlam by keeping Paul out there. Obviously, talk about Paul Heyman. What do you guys think about that? Do you see Cesaro getting a shot? I mean, Cesaro didn't do much outside of an awesome uppercut on Cena last night, and you know, the neutralizer on out of nowhere on Bray Wyatt. Who was it on? Was it on Bray Wyatt? No, it was on Sheamus. So he hit the neutralizer on Sheamus and gave Cena an uppercut. It's basically all Cesaro did last night. And he came out in a new robe. I swear to God, this guy keeps coming out in all these different attires. That's ridiculous. They really can't find anything they really like for him, and it's really getting outrageously annoying.
Experimenting with some new
I mean, they experiment so many times. It's like what they did with him before he was in the Real Americans. He came out in a beret. He came out in a robe. He came out in a jacket. He came out in all this bull crap. He came out in a bomber jacket yodeling. I mean, it was, you know, it got stupid for a while, and now we're just seeing him in a bunch of different other entrance attires. What do we see? Who do we see being Cena's opponent for Battleground? You know, I suggested Kane earlier. Alba suggesting Cesaro. That would mean that a program between Cesaro and Cena has to start tonight. Who do you guys see Cena's opponent at Battleground being, since we're 3 weeks away?
It's got to be somebody that was in the ladder match last night, whether it be Cesaro or Kane.
That's the main event scene. It has to be one of those guys.
I think it has. I'm sorry, go on, Ed.
No, word, good, go.
I have to think it has to be someone you can build quickly and then drop just as quickly. So I would have to say that it's gonna be probably Randy Orton. They have history there already.
God, nobody wants to see that pay-per-view match ever.
No one wants to see that pay-per-view match.
Royal Rumble.
I think they might do a triple threat if Orton's in the title match.
Yeah, I think if Orton's in there, it's got to be a triple threat. Kane, Orton, something like that.
I don't know.
Actually, just stole my thunder on that one. I was gonna say, you do qualifying matches tonight. Maybe do something like Kane and Bray or Kane and Orton in a triple threat for the battleground, because you're not really gonna have too much time to build anything interesting, and yeah, you just reflect on the past. If Cesaro ever gets to Cena with the belt, I don't want it to be in a segue program before you get to something big like Lesnar.
I agree. And go ahead, Water.
No, lest we forget, I mean, reports have come out that the Battleground card has been leaked already, and if it checks out, we're going to get Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton, Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, and in all likelihood, it's going to be John Cena against Kane, someone who they want to write off television anyway because he's going to be going to do a See No Evil 2 filming. You know what? It wouldn't shock me in the slightest if the Buried Alive match that we were supposed to get between Bryan and Kane, we get that at Battleground between Cena and Kane.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. And the biggest thing is they've already filmed See No Evil 2. The thing is that they're wanting to write him off TV because he's gonna retire. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Kane is ready to retire and run his insurance business with his wife and run for public office. Like, the guy wants to be a politician.
President Kane.
You know, I mean, he's literally running for the rumors have been for the last 2 years that the guy is very hell-bent on running for the Senate office in Tennessee in 2016. So if that's the case, then you shouldn't expect him to be around much longer. And honestly, even though he is one of the safest players, he's always been really good. The choke slams have been a little weaker. Everything he's done in the ring as of late has been very phoned in. I think it's time. I think it's time for Kane. Honestly, I hate seeing how cheap his outfits keep getting. The wig and everything is awful. Like, it's just time. It's time.
The character changes are just comical at this point.
The fact that it has to be Demon Kane and not
just Kane running for Demon Kane
pisses me off. It really pisses me off.
Getting back to a Cesaro-Cena program like John suggested a second ago, do you think that in the long term that would hurt Cesaro more?
Well, the only and I'm gonna John. It's for somehow, some way, John Alba and I have been on the same wavelength, mindset wise. As of late, it's funny because everything that I've been saying on the show, he came back in and said the exact same things last night, and without us talking about them. I'm gonna go ahead and it's gonna be funny because I'm actually gonna ask him when we get off the show here if he thinks this way, because I don't think John Alba would suggest Cesaro versus Cena with Lesnar with it setting up Lesnar if Cesaro loses clean.
Yeah,
the thing.
That's what
I think John is talking about. You have Cesaro and Cena, and if you do qualifying matches starting tonight, somehow, some way Cesaro wins and goes and becomes the next guy at Battleground, and then of course Lesnar makes his return at Battleground, somehow goes in to help Cesaro and of course costs Cesaro the match because the ref sees it and he gets disqualified. That's the only way that can work. I like it. I think that it does work. It would also put tension between Lesnar, Cesaro, and Heyman. It makes sense. It writes itself, kind of thing. But you can't say that Cesaro can go in, have a match with Cena, and then lose. Like that just can't happen. And I think Cena's smart enough to know that can't happen, or it kills Cesaro as well.
Absolutely.
So I hope does that answer your question,
yeah.
Patrick? Like where how I.
No, I was just thinking, like, if they go Cesaro-Cena, I mean, they didn't really have a lot of interaction, like the two of them facing each other. They don't have a lot of history last night. I mean, if the two of them took a good, 5-10 minute chunk of time during that match last night, you could write it off as like, oh, okay, Cesaro-Cena was, they were really, costing each other, spots in the match, but there wasn't a lot of interaction last night, which kind of just leads me. I mean, WWE logic, obviously, but still.
Right, they'll build to if it's going to be those two, they're going to build to that in some way, shape, or form. But the big thing is knowing backstage politics-wise, John Cena is extremely high on Cesaro. Thinks very highly of him, works out with him a lot, is very impressed with his work and with his strength, and wants to get him in that main event picture as soon as possible. So it very well could be.
the logic of it doesn't fit, just in my opinion anyway, because especially with Battleground being 3 weeks away, you're definitely not going to do qualifying matches because you don't have enough time to do that. Right. You need the main event booked tonight, and based on the ending to Money in the Bank with Triple H and Stephanie looking on to discuss, they're going to make it either Randy Orton and Kane, or maybe even both.
I totally agree with that. I'm the one that said Kane coming out the chute, like the first thing we talked about tonight. I think it's Kane. But I'm just trying to defend John Alba's logic of if it somehow becomes Cesaro Cena, the only way that you could, the only reason that works is having Lesnar come in and interrupt the match.
It would definitely feel awfully forced because, I mean, I'm Swiss, I'm a Cesaro guy, but at the same time, his momentum has just been shot. And it was nice to see him in that ladder match last night, but now it's kind of like, all right, we know Cena's a fan of his, he wants to work with him, but I think putting him in that title match right now would feel awfully forced because he's just been kind of on a downward slope as of late, which sucks because he's with Paul Heyman. It should be the opposite.
Well, I mean, that's the automatic assumption that Paul Heyman makes whoever's with him a superstar. That's the funny thing. I mean, Warhead, he did nothing.
I've been saying this since it started, and you guys were all telling me this is because of storyline. They want to build it. They want to build Cesaro versus Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions. Paul Heyman constantly coming out and going, my client, Brock Lesnar, defeated The Undertaker. Absolutely.
That's a nice frozen face.
I'm gonna assume.
His comment.
That's the photograph
destroyed it.
Pulled the plug on him.
Yeah, basically, and I'm sorry. I know I might not be using the term buried correctly, but that's what he did. It destroyed him.
Warhood, I'm not even gonna lie to you. We have no idea what you said. In the middle of your rant, your screen froze, and we got this pretty good O face from you. And then Alex was talking about the fact that we pulled the plug on you, and you come back in going, "Of course they pulled the plug on him." No, I mean we weren't even talking about you. We weren't even talking about Cesaro at that point. We were talking about you.
Google Hangouts just buried Warhood.
Pretty funny stuff, but yeah, we have no idea what you said. You think that the company has buried Cesaro for putting them with Heyman, and that's what you're saying?
No, I'm saying the way they built Night of Champions, which is what everyone on this show has been saying is going to be Brock Lesnar versus Cesaro.
Not everyone's been saying that.
That's the rumor. We're just
the rumor is
the backstage report.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's like what the rumor report is, and the way they're building it is wrong, and it buried any momentum that Cesaro had. And I've been saying that for a while, and it's just frustrating to see because I can see the talent there, and I can't. It's just
a title match could save that though.
Yeah, but here's the thing,
though. If he doesn't lose, it could possibly build him up for Lesnar in a much better way than they're doing now.
But here's the thing, though, Warhood. I think this goes to what Doug says, that the Heyman effect, I think, is a bit of a misnomer. It's not so much about the promos that he's cutting, but it's about the way that you're booking Cesaro in these matches.
Mm-hmm.
It's two different areas that you're talking about here.
I totally agree. It's not these things. People think that just because Paul Heyman's the manager and he's coming out with Cesaro, that it instantly makes Cesaro, more impressive, or that he's the next big.
He was coming out with Ryback before Lesnar.
Yeah, correct. He was coming out with Curtis Axel and Ryback. So give me the whole freaking spiel about he makes the star, bigger than himself. No, you know what? He associates himself with the best manager in the company today, the best manager in the last 15 years, and that's cool and all. But it's all about how you book him. Yes, they did kill his momentum. They did it on purpose. That was done on purpose. If you've ever seen Vince McMahon or them, like the organic growth for Cesaro was evident, and that's why they gave him the WrestleMania spot. And then it was one of these things where, okay, well, we see him growing like Daniel Bryan. We want to kind of build him that way, but not right now. And I think now when they see it, now they think that Daniel Bryan is out for until possibly 2015. I think that they may be pushing Cesaro, or to try to be, to try to grow like Bryan did. But you know what? I think that there's some other factors that came in to why they squashed Cesaro's momentum. And I think part of it is, they were going to try to push him as a main event guy, as this next guy. And I think part of it is I don't think they expected the reactions that the Shield have gotten since they split. The reactions at Money in the Bank for Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, no matter what you want to say about him, and Dean Ambrose were incredible. I mean, you have 3 main event players instantly out of a month of a split, like a month of a build towards last night. 3 main event players out of left field. So now we have a good roster of main event guys that can go, and that's what we're going to see coming up in the next few months at the pay-per-views. But I think that they were obviously looking at the fact that they didn't have a lot of main event guys, like single stars, and that's why they split up the Real Americans, and we're going to push Cesaro, and then they said, well, hang on, we can really make Cesaro if we take it to SummerSlam or Night of Champions with Brock Lesnar. If Cesaro beats Brock Lesnar for the first time after Brock Lesnar beats The Undertaker for the streak, then, man, we have something to push Cesaro off of. But now they've got 3 freaking main event guys out of the Shield that they weren't expecting to have. And, I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of different factors coming in. Batista's gone, but he'll be back by SummerSlam. You have Daniel Bryan's out and gone for good. John Cena's the champion again. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of crap that needs to be filled out. And I think that Cesaro kind of got lost in the shuffle. And we'll see what happens. If they're still going to go with that build for Cesaro, then, yeah, I think we see Cesaro Lesnar sometime here soon.
Can't win, though.
No, I mean, that's the suck part is that if what do you do? I mean, that's the thing. If the whole plan originally was we have, if we get Cesaro and Lesnar together at Night of Champions and we can push Cesaro off of a Lesnar win, and now you're talking about having Cesaro, we're talking about having Lesnar and Cena at SummerSlam for the title, and if Lesnar wins, he's only going to hold it for a month, and he's going to drop it to Cesaro?
Yeah, that's
Impossible.
way too soon.
I don't think it's a given, though.
No, it's 100%. Lesnar can't lose. WWE booked themselves into a position by having Lesnar end the streak. That
Right.
Lesnar, if he wins the title at SummerSlam, which I think we're all under the assumption that he's going to do,
Correct.
he's going to hold that title until he loses it. But the thing is, if he doesn't hold that belt until WrestleMania 31, which I think he might, it will be difficult for him to be on television. But that's the only logic I can see. He would have to drop it in a triple threat match or a fatal four-way where he's not involved in the decision. You cannot have the guy who just ended the most storied streak in wrestling lose immediately. And this is going to be his first or second match since WrestleMania. So I think it's going to be extremely difficult.
I think it is extremely difficult. I think it's hard to book it that way because one of the things is you also, I mean, obviously they learned. I said they learned. They probably didn't learn anything. Last year with The Rock, when he's gone for 3 weeks out of a 5-week month in March, leading up to WrestleMania 29. I mean, he was there literally 1 week out of a 5-week month, and then he was there for 1 week out of a 3.5-week month in February, and he was there for 1 week out of January. Your champion was barely on the show. And I don't know how many honestly, I have no idea how many dates Brock has left. But I know he only has 3 pay-per-view dates. So you're looking at SummerSlam, Night of Champions, and WrestleMania. That means they're going to have to sign him to some kind of extension if he's going to be the champion. And what happens? Do you put him on TV? I mean, what the hell?
And you got to pay him a lot more to backload the contract just to get him involved in the pay-per-views before the first contract ends. So, I mean, they really did box themselves in with this one. I mean, the Lesnar thing, he put him over they put themselves over a barrel on this one. But
you don't have the luxury you don't have the luxury you did with The Rock, because at least with The Rock you can get the occasional video package where he cuts a promo. Brock Lesnar doesn't want to talk.
But Paul Heyman's going to be out there every single week.
I know, but when you're the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, you need to be there. You can't just have your manager make appearances like Heyman's doing at the moment, always acknowledging Lesnar.
Heyman may come out with the freaking titles around his shoulders.
You can't get away with that, though, especially for as long as they probably want him to be champion.
Right, which means this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like, it sucks. Like, you already talked about how the fact that, if they have Lesnar come out, he can't lose because he beat The Undertaker. But you can't also have Lesnar win the title and hang on to it for the next 6 months leading to WrestleMania. It makes zero sense. He's not going to be on TV that much, and so you're not going to have a champion on TV, or you're not going to have the guy who beat the streak stay strong. you're going to have to give up one of them. And I think that they're more than likely going to let him lose in September and or January than hold that thing until April of next year.
Either that, or you just have Lesnar beat Cena at SummerSlam, and then at Night of Champions you do Lesnar versus Cena versus Cesaro, and then you just have like Cena beat Cesaro or something.
Or I don't know. I mean, what do you see happening with the briefcase? What do you think timeline-wise they do with the briefcase? I'm not saying cash in on Lesnar, but
God, that would make Rollins look damn good.
they might be forced into it. They might be forced into it.
Well, what would happen theoretically? I know it was like kind of trolly Twitter observations being made. What happens if like Rollins theoretically wanted to cash in when Brock wasn't there? He can demand a match at any time. I mean, I'm just like theoretically. I guess that's kind of dumb, but.
I mean, the way that Pijo sets this thing up is that Lesnar doesn't win the title at SummerSlam. That Cesaro costs Lesnar the match at SummerSlam.
Can't do that.
And then it's Cesaro versus Lesnar at Battleground or at Night of Champions.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
The only thing you can do at SummerSlam is have Lesnar win. There's no other option. Like there's literally the other option of Cena winning, whether it's by interference or just straight up like he did at Extreme Rules that time. You can't do that.
You can't have. I'll give you that. You can't have Lesnar get defeated by Cena. I'll give you that. But I don't think that it's too far off to say that they could have Cesaro come in and make it a DQ.
No, you can't do that.
Why?
Especially in the main event of SummerSlam, you're not having that thing end in a DQ.
Why?
It's
SummerSlam. Crazier things have happened.
Event, then.
If it's all about setting up the next pay-per-view.
You're not wasting SummerSlam to set up Night of Champions.
It would make Cena even more of a heel, though.
Yeah, and that's
Cena would be the most hated It would be just like them having him break the streak. It would be the next best thing they could do.
That's the whole point. That's why, like, and John Cena realizes that he's a heel. He really. I mean, did you see his tweet today?
Oh, the tweet was fantastic.
What was the tweet?
Call up the interwebs machine and tell him it's time to hate us again. Hashtag the champ is here. He understands that he's the most hated guy in the business right now. He just won his 15th world title because there's no one else to put the title on.
Bobby Bamber had the greatest supply the idea of.
No, he didn't. He's awful at
No,
thoughts.
No,
the world's
we're not
worst
even
at
talk
ideas.
about that.
Don't bring it up in here. He is awful.
All right.
Who is this?
Go ahead and say
No, we
your
don't speak
idea
his name. We
and I'll
don't
destroy
say his
it.
name here.
Don't say his name, but tell us the idea. I'll destroy it. Go ahead.
Nah, it wasn't the greatest. It was not the greatest.
You already said it's the greatest, Ed. Come on.
Yeah, you just hyped it up.
Ed, are you gonna leave again like Naomi versus AJ Lee?
Versus AJ Lee.
He doesn't want to say it.
Oh my god, I'm done. I'm done.
You're both banned.
No, it wasn't that. No, it wasn't.
Where's the ban button on this thing?
No, it wasn't Naomi versus AJ. It was Naomi versus Paige.
Yeah.
And I actually did have some interesting ideas for that. I don't know if you want to hear it, but I did.
No,
I want to hear what Bamber's thought was. Tell me.
No, the idea that he wins the 17th. The idea that he wins the 17th World Championship by using the figure 4 just as a flip ball.
That's the kind of idiotic stuff that I hear from that guy. That's just stupid.
But no, here's the thing though, Walter, you said that you can't end SummerSlam with that. In that case, I don't know why you just don't put Triple H and Reigns in as the finish. If you're not as the main event for SummerSlam. I don't know.
Cena and Lesnar is main eventing SummerSlam. Reigns and Triple H is not main eventing SummerSlam.
Exactly.
If it's something that's going to box him in.
Lesnar from now on is the main event of every pay-per-view. Yes. Lesnar for the rest of his career is going to be in the main event of every pay-per-view he's in. That's it. I don't care if he's wrestling Zack Ryder. That's the main event of SummerSlam.
I don't know if I go that far, but I will say.
No, I will go that far.
Maybe he's wrestling the bunny.
Actually, Bammer suggested that.
The poster is Cena versus Lesnar. It's not Triple H.
That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. He's the poster. He's the box office hit right there.
You know what it is?
You know that last year it was a bunch of different superstars on a roller coaster with Daniel Bryan doing this number. Like that was last year's poster. It wasn't just Daniel Bryan because he won the title that night, and then Randy Orton took it off him. It wasn't just that. It was a bunch of different people, a bunch of superstars on a roller coaster. Hey, we're riding this ride. It's pretty. It's cool. It's the summer. This year, it's literally 2 huge images of John Cena and Brock Lesnar. That's your main event. That's your money power. That's your draw. There's no other main event for this thing that could make that make sense.
And the beautiful thing is that they don't have to involve Cesaro at any point because the storyline you can just say right off the bat, when Brock Lesnar first returned to WWE, his first match at Extreme Rules, Cena beat him. And now Lesnar's out for revenge. He wants the title. There you go. That's all you really need to do. It's as simple as that.
Yep, and then if you want to do the whole Punk Lesnar angle with Cesaro and Lesnar, then you just have Cesaro get jealous because Paul Heyman now has turned all of his affections towards the returning Brock Lesnar, and then you get the split coming out of that. I don't know.
And here's the thing. With Cesaro, not shock me in the slightest if they just scrap this entire Cesaro-Lesnar feud for the time being, because like you said, there's so many other guys ahead of him right now.
Yep.
All 3 Shield members are ahead of Cesaro on the totem pole as far as I'm concerned. Roman Reigns is going to do his shtick with Orton probably at Battleground and then Triple H at SummerSlam. Yep. Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose is basically the number 2 or 3 feud in the company right now. Yep. Cesaro is just lost in the shuffle.
Yep.
You know who else might be fit, but that could be his next feud, Bray Wyatt. I would love to do something with him too.
Cesaro and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, fantastic matches. I would love to see that.
Book this stuff, Alex. Testify, brother.
Will do.
You got to do the Big E X.
Completely.
That's what we're gonna see going forward. I mean, we're gonna see those 8 guys that were in that match last night are gonna be feuding for the next 3 months. In some different combinations.
That was pretty funny last night during the match when Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt scored off, and Michael Cole really hyped that up. I'm like, man, we've seen this before. They even had a one-on-one match on Raw.
I know, well, he said a lot of stupid stuff. Actually, honestly, I have to admit that JBL was on freaking point last night. Everything he said was almost just amazingly.
Except for
just
that
another day at the office for JBL.
Yeah,
exactly. There you go.
I will say,
except during the Cole match.
We do have something else that's happening tonight. They're going to reveal the cover of WWE 2K15. Who do you think's on this one?
I think it's 2 people in one shot. I think that's the WWE champion that's returning.
What?
No.
Why not?
Who do you think? Miz?
What on the cover?
No, whoever is returning, be it Ric Flair or Brock Lesnar,
it's on the cover of WWE 2K15.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my
God.
God.
You think that Ric Flair is on the cover of WWE 2K15?
They did Michael Jordan 2K. The thing did Michael Jordan for 13.
He was in the game though. Like he was like the main part of the game.
And Ric Flair is not going to be in the game as a legend?
He's not going to be the main part of the game though.
Daniel Bryan will be on the cover of WWE 2K15.
Yeah.
There you go.
They are
teasing. Like we've seen
I will say this: they are teasing Daniel Bryan being on the show tonight.
So there you go.
Can I ask you this? Can I ask you this real quick? Doug, you talked about earlier Bryan being pushed back potentially to 2015.
Yes.
You think that affects any early plans that people had for WrestleMania 31? Maybe Reigns or anyone like that. Do you think that affects any potential booking that they have?
All right, well, let's be real about how far out WWE's been booking stuff. I don't think that they've even gotten close to WrestleMania 31 as far as main event stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying.
I definitely don't think that they've gotten anywhere close to that, especially due to the fact that The Undertaker has no idea when he's coming back, and I know that they were going to build towards Sting Undertaker. They still don't know if that's going to happen. One of my buddies that is a writing assistant for the company obviously said the whole Daniel Bryan thing screwed up a lot, and they had to throw away Plan A, and now they're on Plan B, which of course is different than what they had planned from the get-go. People's reactions to characters such as Dean Ambrose, and whether you like to, whether anyone in the IWC wants to admit it or not, Dolph Ziggler is not buried. He's on TV consistently. They did the grabbing the Money in the Bank briefcase from his perspective going up a ladder on WWE.com. He got an amazing reaction last night from the Boston crowd. I think they're going to give this guy more of a chance than you initially believe that he is. and he's not gimmicking it up like Damian Sandow. He's not doing all these different things where he's being useless. He's actually going out there and doing exactly what he's always done, and that's show off. I think last night the reaction showed that he's very over, and I think that there's a lot of guys like that they're going to be using here in this Plan B thing, this different route to take. They're going to be using a bunch of different things. That's what I'm saying. That you look at the reactions of these new guys like Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. That's obviously going to change how they write for the next few months, and then they'll go from there. But there's no way that they have the main event already set out for WrestleMania 31.
Okay.
You can go ahead. JR and a couple other people have already said Roman Reigns should be getting his big moment at WrestleMania 31, but I mean, it could come earlier. I don't know what they're gonna. I don't know what their plan is at this point. I don't know what's gonna happen. Predictability says that Roman Reigns wins the Royal Rumble and then goes and wins at WrestleMania. But we don't know what tomorrow holds throughout injuries and returns and all these different things. No way they have that main event already set up. So will it change things that were already in their heads as far as who's going to be facing who in what level over the next few months? Definitely. Things have definitely changed in that retrospect. But as far as WrestleMania 31 goes, maybe a few minor tweaks are going to have to be made, but probably nothing major because they haven't planned out that far ahead.
I kind of see WrestleMania 31 kind of like being a repeat of WrestleMania 21 when it was kind of like the crowning jewel of the companies. John Cena, Batista, both winning their respective titles. It began a new era for the company. I don't think Roman Reigns is going to win the title until WrestleMania 31. I think he's the heavy favorite right now to win the Royal Rumble, and if things are booked properly, and especially if they can't get The Rock, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar should be your main event.
Agreed.
I just don't know if Lesnar's going to hold the title that long.
They could put it on him again, though.
I just don't. I just don't know.
It's
going to take a lot of money, and it's going to take a brand new contract.
That's going to be a money match, though, for sure, if it does happen. I mean, right, especially with Daniel Bryan being on the shelf, he might be gone until 2015. He could be like a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, but that depends if he does get a second neck surgery. He might be back a lot earlier if he doesn't have one.
Right. I mean, if he starts getting feeling back in his arm, which just isn't happening right now, so.
And you know what? For anyone out there who doubted Daniel Bryan and as far as him being off television and him losing the reaction from the fans, go back and watch that pre-show last night and see how rowdy Boston got for Daniel Bryan. As soon as he comes back, he's going to be a main event player once again.
Yep, I totally agree. And you know what I really loved? And I saw some people, such as the boy that Ed was talking about earlier, some people said that Daniel Bryan is not looked at like a star anymore by the guys in the back because they sent out Bo Dallas to do an interaction with him during the freaking kickoff show. And that was, you don't see people like Roman Reigns getting thrown in with Bo Dallas. They wouldn't do that to a star. Are you kidding me, bro?
Like we didn't see Sandow go out with DX on the 1000.
That was John Alba.
Someone read John's tweet.
Been on Twitter, I guess.
I was about to say Warhood literally just copied John Alba's tweet.
John
Alba responded.
Really?
Yes, John Alba responded and said, "Hey, Damian Sandow, interacted with DX on the 1000th episode of Raw," which is exactly right. I mean, but there's tons of things that happen like that, dude. I mean, look at the DX interacted with the Spirit Squad forever. DX interacted with Cade and Murdoch, for Christ's sake.
They interacted with DBS and Rhodes.
Right. So here's my thing. Like, it's one of those things where don't give me that as an argument and try to say, hey, you see how they think of him because he's out there with Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas will be a freaking star. Bo Dallas got a reaction last night. If you didn't hear it, again, go watch the freaking kickoff show. Bo Dallas got a reaction. I would be surprised if the crowd tonight isn't chanting boner at Bo Dallas. And you know what? And that'll be something that you actually like. You know what? That'll show you that Daniel Bryan is a star and how influential he is. Okay, that'll be a testament tonight. If Bo Dallas comes out and people chant boner, then I mean, Daniel Bryan came up with that, so it'll be Daniel Bryan.
Did you see Daniel Bryan's tweet afterwards to Bo Dallas?
I do believe that I retweeted that during the show last night. But Daniel Bryan said, "I hope people chant boner for the rest of his career."
Yeah.
Can I make a confession? I'm slowly turning into a believer. I didn't think
because you're seeing his charisma on the camera, aren't you? The guy knows how to. He's connecting with fans. I don't care if it's a connection that makes you hate him even more, or if it's a connection that makes you laugh because he's such a sarcastic idiot. I love it.
I think it's more the latter. You know what? It didn't work for me when I watched it on NXT. I just don't think it was because the NXT guys interacting with each other on that sort of platform didn't really add up for me. But to see him with that Bryan promo, it stole the show for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought it was great. I honestly think Bo Dallas is going to be a big superstar, and people need to get over themselves if they don't think that. And of course, I really think that Daniel Bryan is still looked at as one of the top guys in the company, and will when he comes back. And I don't think there's anything against Daniel Bryan because he had Bo Dallas come out and interact with him. You know what? They didn't have anything else for Bo Dallas to do on the show. So why not have him come out there and just dick around with Daniel Bryan, who's the top guy without the title?
It's a testament to what they think about Bo Dallas, too.
It is a testament to what they think. And you know what? And it's one of those things where people go, oh, well, they don't care much about Bo Dallas because they didn't put him in that ladder match. They might not even expected him to be there because he got married on Thursday. He could have been actually supposed to be having a honeymoon. Just get over yourselves, Marks. That's all I'm gonna have to say about that. Let's talk about a couple more things before we get off here because we've gotten a little distracted. And I just want to bring some other things to the table. The Dust Brothers obviously beat Ryback last night.
Highlight of the match. There's 1 second. Ryback was lining up for his meat hook clothesline. And he didn't even do like his little like pump up they did before. You could audibly hear the crowd say, "Feed me more." And
Alex
you can
hacked
hear
into the broadcast and edited that in.
I still got it. You never lost it, buddy. Good for you.
Oh God, I love it. I love it.
This song is such a Ryback, just a mark. He's a mark for Ryback.
The fans love him.
The Dust Brothers, though, that Stardust thing, I'll give Cody so much credit for being able to turn what looks like just a failed Raw concept into potentially gold.
No,
I hope they ride it.
Potentially a star.
I hope they pull this, they push this on further. And I know we talked about, the idea of them breaking up, and I was a little more for it, but after watching it last night, and it makes no sense, but it works so well for me.
No, I really see a program with the Usos coming.
Yeah.
That threw me off. That threw me off a lot that they didn't put the belts on Rowan and Harper last night.
Oh, dude, that was a great match. And
we didn't.
Hey,
who picked the Usos? Uso crazy. # Walder, we got it right. Let's do this. I knew it.
Usos,
only guy.
Yes.
That's my Randy Orton pick of the year, baby. I couldn't get any of the ladder matches right, but I got the bloody tag match right.
That's right.
With the one team I could give a damn about.
Who's the next victim for Rusev? We've run out of black guys for him to squash.
Some boys don't get their ass kicked.
Yeah, Mark Henry. They're missing one.
Squash Henry yet. Yeah. Ahmed Johnson, what's he doing?
Ahmed Johnson is 560 pounds and is sitting beside Virgil at conventions. There's no one coming up to either one of them.
Speaking of nothing left to do, what about Paige? Where's that going?
I don't know, man. I honestly think we're gonna see Naomi and Cameron and Naomi on TV either tonight or on Main Event or something. And Naomi starts asking Cameron, "Why were you smiling when I was getting my butt kicked?" And then that's where the whole tension thing comes and a split match happens down the road. Who cares?
I mean, it'll be a triple threat battleground between the three.
More than likely, yeah.
See, that's the reason I would have rather seen Naomi actually win the belt, though. That way you have a reason.
That wouldn't happen.
It would have made no sense if she won the belt last night.
It would have made zero sense.
But then that's the reason for Paige to give a match. She's beaten both of them, won twice, and there's no real reason logically for her to continue with that.
There's no real reason logically for any of these girls to be on WWE TV.
Ed's just defending his crappy pick from last night.
Yeah.
Hey, I had logic on my side. It wasn't good logic, but it was logic.
You know, I might troll, but I know the limits, Ed. You don't know the limits.
Ooh, that's
I
big
was trying to think on an existential level.
All right, so of course we're going to see build up tonight on Raw for Battleground. Likely we'll get a opponent for John Cena set for the championship. We're going to see somebody for for the tag team titles. I would assume that it would be the Wyatts again. I would assume that they're going to try to build towards the Dusts at some point, getting up there and getting a shot. Maybe we see Ambrose and Rollins build towards their match at Battleground and subsequent match at SummerSlam. And then we'll probably get more push towards Roman Reigns and Randy Orton at Battleground. And then who knows what else we're going to see. We're going to see some WWE champion on the show that hasn't been on there in a while, Ric Flair or Miz or Jericho, or name your random WWE champion. Could be Shawn Michaels, but they would usually promote him. It's one of those things where we don't know who it is. We'll have to watch and see. The kickoff show starts at 7:30, which is now hosted by Renee Young. And I thought that was kind of a weird dynamic last night on the kickoff show, so we'll see what happens tonight on the Raw kickoff show. Any parting words before we get out of here and get ready for Raw?
I wasn't trolling last night.
Bullshit. Sorry for cursing, but...
Wait, what city is Raw in?
Hartford, Connecticut.
Ooh, that's a tough one for
All right, so
Sandow.
here we go. Last thing we're talking about, I want to hear a prediction from each person. Who does Damian Sandow come out dressed as tonight in Hartford, Connecticut? AB, go for it.
I know it. I know who it is. I know who it is.
Huh. I don't know. Just a generic snowboarder.
It's gonna be...
Your pick is a generic snowboarder?
It's gonna be...
That's awesome.
And no one here is from the New York area, Hartford area, right? Except for Alba. It's gonna be a Hartford Whalers uniform.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that would be nice.
That's what it's gonna be.
So much. You just
They've done the sports thing already. They can't do that again.
They did Abe Lincoln after they did Abe Lincoln and Paul Revere, historical figures.
Well, see, if they do a historical figure, then it's P.T. Barnum.
What?
P.T. Barnum.
And there's always a chance that he might not be on Raw tonight, so...
No, they're going to milk
No, they're going to do something stupid. We'll see what happens. If he comes
either
out...
that or a rosebud.
I know Frick Manzo wants him to come out dressed as Vince McMahon tonight, so we'll see what happens.
You know what? I could see that. If they want to continue that, it could be he could come out in the bunny suit.
Ooh, Shane McMahon.
That would be pretty sweet.
Money.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. If he comes out doing the little,
I miss his
boxing
dance.
That's what I'm saying. If Sandow comes out doing the, that would be pretty sick. All right, Raw starts. The kickoff show starts in an hour. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your night. Follow us at WrestleRumors for live tweeting all night throughout the show. Anything that breaks during it, you will also see some impressive news writing coming out of us at WrestlingRumors.net. Make sure you go there every single day to get your wrestling fix. And don't forget to check out Wrestling Rumors Radio on iTunes and Stitcher, or at WrestlingRumors.net. You can check out Wrestling Rumors Radio. It's our daily podcast. We hit 100 episodes today, so make sure you go check that out. We do a recap of last night's
Happy
show.
anniversary.
So thank you. So enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your wrestling tonight, and we'll catch you on the next one.